Welcome to Danny's Podcast.
This is the Redefining Plastics Podcast. Justin Riney. Welcome to the Redefining Plastics Podcast. My name's Justin Riney. Once again, we're now a part of the Brave Media family, which we're very excited about. Also really excited to have an old friend in the industry, James Hansil. James and I have been doing work together for probably 4 years now, I think, roughly, and occasional golfing buddies as well, industry-wise, which is always good by me. It's a free plug for anybody who listens to this. If they want to play golf with me, I'm always for it. If you want to sell me something, that's probably the easiest way to do it too. But yeah, James, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell the folks a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, Justin, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be on here and to support for your podcast, video show, whatever you want to call it. I think it's really cool what you're doing. But yeah, my name is James Hansil. I've been in the industry for going on 10 years now. Started with a big producer. Now I'm at a small compounder and we're making custom products in the polyolefin industry.
And to small compounder, Spartan, I think you have your logo quarters in there, right? There we go. Spartan Polymers. So I was a long-term customer at a previous organization. You guys make great products, do a lot of work with TPOs and things like that. And so if anybody needs help with those types of compounds for like melt strength and things like that, reach out to James. He'll be your man. I'll put all his contact info in there. But this one's going to be a little different today. This is not necessarily about recycling. This is more just plastics industry as a whole. I think from my perspective, we talked a lot on this podcast about how there's not the next generation of leaders. So I want to talk to who currently is the next generation of leaders, because you're there. You've been a leader. And you are currently leading at the organization that you're at now. But my concern is there's not enough of us. We need more of us, and we need to attract more people to this industry. What are your thoughts on that? Like, where's your head at?
Coming from a big company, I was able to take on some mentees as well as some mentors. So we would have young guys from colleges in the local area that would take on internships and come into this industry not really knowing what it was, just like I did, and learn a little bit about it, and then they jump out. And they don't really fit anywhere in the industry, or they don't like it enough, or they don't know enough about it, or whatever the fact might be. But my message is always the same. It's a wonderful industry to be in. I've made tons of friends. There's great people. There's great mentors. It's the best little business out there, as they say.
A ton of opportunity, right? Since there's not a lot of us, not a lot of us taking up the mantle in leadership for the next generation, there's a ton of opportunity out there, specifically if you want to lead. Yeah. In an organization of good people, I consider you a friend outside of business. And there's not very many of those in other industries. I'll tell you. I did commodity trading for a while right out of grad school, and I don't like any of those people. I don't think I'm ever going to talk to them again. But the plastics industry is a little different. So how did you get into this business? I've been clear. I fell into this. Yeah. Plastics was not what I was looking to do. I just love it now, and now I'm here. Give us a little backstory of how you got here.
I graduated from the Citadel in 2011 with a business degree. And I came out, I did a couple of internships with some mutual fund companies and insurance companies and things like that over some summers, and didn't really like that, didn't really take. And I came out of college really not knowing what I was going to do, like most people do, I think. I wasn't a plastics major or anything like that. And I basically just applied to a role in the local area, and I thought it sounded pretty cool. I didn't know what the company was. I didn't know what they stood for. I didn't know anything about plastics whatsoever. Just like you, I fell into it as well and just really came into it eyes wide open and just saying, okay, I want to learn everything about this. And luckily I was a part of a really good organization with a team of really good people. And like I said, I was able to get some really good mentors that were able to push me through that company and lead me in the right way, and really put some good opportunities, put me in a position to to get good opportunities. And I was able to take those and expand on that. And really it just pushed me to where I'm at now. But it wasn't without a lot of work, a lot of travel, a lot of being away from my family, a lot of just really being away. But being away, you really fall into it, right? And you really start to love it. You really start to learn about it. You learn about people, you learn about who's buying what, you create relationships, and it just goes on from there. And here I am today talking on a video podcast about where I am. Well, it's weird.
Like a whole 100 people may actually see this thing, so you don't have to worry too much about it. But I think this industry, right, you are gone a lot. Specifically, the way that a lot of plastics companies have streamlined, and there's not as many people as there used to be. So you have bigger sales territories, and you get to crisscross the country at times. And I tell you, I get real sick of friggin' airports, man. I get real sick of airports unless they've got a Centurion Lounge. That's a free ad for the Amex Centurion Lounge. That's the only thing that makes travel okay for me. But like we both have young families, like being away from kids. I don't know about you, but I'm gone for a week and I come back and my 4-year-old's got new phrases. She's into new things. It's like she's a completely different person one week to the next.
Yeah, that's a big reason why I'm at Spartan Polymers now. Spartan was actually one of my customers at my previous. I really liked what they were doing. They just seemed like really good people. And when I was thinking about leaving, I talked to the owner, Brian, and he made it worth my while to come over there and do it. Honestly, it sounds crazy, but like at the time I was doing a lot of traveling all around America. I was handling one of the biggest accounts at my company at the time. Things were going haywire. We were instituting new software. Customers weren't happy. My customer wasn't happy. We went through that whole thing and finally got the problem fixed. An opportunity came up to do some international travel, which meant being away from my family even more. It didn't fit well with what I was trying to do and the person that I was trying to be. I grew up with my parents in the house, and that's how I want to raise my kids. And luckily, this opportunity presented itself. And Spartan is a company that we're a family-based company. We're a Christian-based company, but we're also a family-based company. And we treat our employees correctly. And I think the owner believes truly that family comes first. And that's completely different than what I came up with through the industry, is that, hey, work comes first and that's that. Whatever else is second, but work, as long as you get your work done, that's what we want. I lived that life and now I'm living the family life, which is great. Still do a fair bit of traveling, but nothing like the international schedule that I was before.
You and I did the exact opposite. I went from the small company to the resin producer. You went from the resin producer to the small company. I don't know who's crazier. One of us is lunatic. I don't know which one it is.
It sounds crazy when I tell the story, but I would try to motivate anybody to also take that jump. Take a leap for yourself. Believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, you're going to fail. So I had a lot of belief in myself and say, hey, I can do this. And that led me to motivate others as well to say, hey, you can do it too. It's just a lot of hard work. It's dedication. Spend the next 3 years of your life with your nose to the grind and you will be successful. And as long as you
find your fit, right?
Yeah.
For me, my first real sales role, I wasn't very successful. I'll throw that out there. It was just a different type of dynamic. It wasn't really for me. Great company, love them to death, still love them, but it's just, it did not fit my skill set. So that's why I'm where I'm at. And I think that's why you're where you're at, because you're a problem solver. And I think it's interesting now because you're doing blends and all these other things. And you say you didn't have any plastics background.
No.
You pick it up, right? You pick it up as you go by being around smart people.
Yep. Yeah. That's kind of my forte is I don't know everything, but I know people that do, you know.
Damn.
I'll get you in contact with them and they'll be able to speak much
what I do. Like, I don't know anything about that. I'll call James and I'll hook you up.
Yeah. I can put you in contact with the person, but That's always been my forte, and just trying to take in as much information as humanly possible at the right times and doing the right things at the right times and making the right connections is extremely important in this industry. And don't be afraid to go out there and join these networking groups and go to these plastics association meetings and meet different people, meet your competitors. Take it all as an opportunity to grow.
Plastic Recycling Conference is a good one. If you're really into recycling, you've got the AMI show. You and I ran into each other there a couple of years ago in Cleveland. And then you've got it used to be called IHS. I don't know what it's called now, CMA or whatever. They do the World Petrochem Conference in Houston in March, and then Chicago, I think it's in September or something like that. Any one of those are really good shows to get to.
And there's also Society of Plastics Engineers has local groups throughout the country, local support networks really to get involved with the industry and help the industry grow for future leaders of the industry. So I know Charlotte has, I guess it's the Carolinas. They have a group that meets, every quarter or so, and they do some fun things. They'll do a brewery tour or something like that and some networking events after that. And then we'll go tour like a mold shop or something. So
you're doing that? You doing that right now?
I haven't done it over the past year or so, but I think the last one I did was sometime last year. I know COVID threw a wrench in things. So I've been to one since after that, but they hold golf tournaments, they do different things. So I highly encourage all the young guys and girls and even anybody in the industry really to go join those events and network and get to know the people that are around you.
That's how I've received every job outside of my first one of the plastics industry is I got to know somebody, they got to know me. We realized we liked working with each other, and it would have never happened without some of these trade groups. Another organization that does a lot of good work in that is the FlexPack, some Flexible Packaging Association. They do a future leader program there too. If you're in the flexibles industry, I would highly recommend that one. But yeah, there's so many different ways to grow in this industry because we're trying to keep whoever we got engaged, right? It's tough right now with people leaving for whatever. And honestly, I'm going to speak for me here. You can speak for yourself too, but it's a way to make a really good living and to take care of your family. You may have to do the travel up front if you get into the sales side. Maybe if you wanted to get into more of a procurement role, which is more my background, it's not as much travel. You can still do well for yourself and have a really solid long-term career.
There's lots of opportunities now to work from home as well, which I know you and I both do, which has been really good just to be in the house and be around your family. Sometimes it's harder than easier, but it's definitely worth it in the long run. I think after spending years and years and years in the office in a cubicle, I can tell you it's better just to have your own little space. And, technology has come so far, even since when we started working in 2010, 2011. I mean, it's come leaps and bounds since then. We can do this and have conversations just as we were sitting next to each other.
Exactly right. I don't really miss the office that much, but I do miss some of the camaraderie. I will say that's kind of the one missing link. You can do a lot of that in teams, and I do that. I jump on calls and I try to keep it light and try to have fun with people, but there's only so much of that you can do in a business meeting setting. You're just not in passing. So I was saying that's the one negative, but
I mean, I definitely miss all the people that I work with. I mean, I think all of us have a bond. I think working together and solving problems together and just spending the day together, I think it's something that bonds you guys for life, really. We still, Facebook's the whole thing. You still stay in contact with them and people.
Yeah, the only social media I do anymore is LinkedIn, and it is taking over my freaking life. I gotta cut back on that. It's funny because I do all my posts Sunday and just schedule them for the week. And as soon as it posts, I know that my phone's just going to go nuts with just people either really happy about what I said or really angry about what I said. I don't know. But anyway, I ask the same question to every single person that joins this show. What do you think of when you hear the word plastics?
My job, my role, providing for my
Money.
family. Yeah. Yeah.
There was a guy once that I worked with at a converter. I won't say which one. So he was a leader there. And we went into a production facility and you could smell the thermoplastics melting. And he said, I love that smell. Smell money. First single time he walks into one of those plants, smells money.
Yeah.
So, all right. That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah. I mean, the guys that came before us are, I think they come from a different background, they're a different breed of people, and they're some of the best salespeople you can come across. I think you run into some not so good ones, but all the salespeople that I've come across have been really good. They've really enjoyed the industry. They've enjoyed their career, and it's something that I aspire to do as well. And it's like you said, it's just about finding your lane, finding the right company, or building your own company. For those young guys and girls that are thinking about joining the industry, since I joined the industry, I probably know 3 or 4 people that are gazillionaires now from starting their own businesses, going out, taking a leap of faith, doing it by themselves and really making a difference in the industry. And they're doing fantastic. They have a full company, 50, 60 people. I mean, it's just been amazing to see what they've been able to accomplish.
I'll tell you, I do not have the risk tolerance for starting my own business.
Yeah.
But if I did, outside of a podcast that's never going to make me any money, but that's a different argument altogether. Yeah. The guts that it takes to start a company, I have a ton of respect for it, and there's really big opportunities. Yeah. And occasionally I think I have a really good idea that I should do. And then I'm like, I don't really want to take that risk.
Yeah. And that's why I have such respect for business owners out there who are independently owned, right? They independently own their companies, which takes an enormous amount of risk. Most companies out there now are owned by private equity, which is fine. It is what it is, but there's very few companies out there that are still independently owned. And I think that the industry needs more of that. It needs more independent owners making a difference within our industry, because most of the trends are being driven by these private equity groups that don't necessarily know what's best for the industry. They might be skewed one way or the other. I get excited when I see US based independently owned companies out there succeed.
Yeah, there are less and less of those, right?
Right.
Just recently, there's a run on big packaging companies joining forces. So that's going to be interesting to see what that does to the industry. I'm not going to ask for your opinion on what you think and all that stuff, because I know you're selling into these guys. So that's really easy to burn a bridge. But it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, because it's so different now than even the 10 years ago when I was first, or 10 plus years now, I guess. My wife gets on my case because I was saying the other day, and it was something that happened 5 years ago. I do this all the time. I have no idea what year I'm even talking about at this point. But
I don't even know the date, so you're ahead of me.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is today? I don't even remember.
Oh man, after New Year's, you come back and you're like, oh man, I feel like I haven't seen a calendar in weeks, and I've only been out of here for like 5 days.
Well, I made the mistake of taking a week of vacation for the first week of January. First week back, I took that week off and went on vacation with my family. That was a big mistake. I don't recommend that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I will not be following suit. I'll tell you.
Yeah, don't do that.
And it's like, that's the week where everybody wants something. They may not end up buying anything. Just their budget.
They just want to catch on our things.
They want something.
Year. Yeah.
Yeah. But so you mentioned it a little bit. I don't want to necessarily take this into too much of a downer, but you and I had a mutual friend in the industry that passed last year, one that used to work for the same company. So Jim Gallagher, great dude. He and I would just go for hours talking about different opportunities and different things. And I think that's a great example of that old school salesperson that you're talking about, that you can just learn from, because the guy knows everything. And the more we run into situations like that where we lose those people, the more I realize how much knowledge we're letting go if we're not listening to each other, if we're not talking to each other, if we're not open to learn, and luckily I was open to learn from him. I know you were too. You spent a lot of time with him and had a ton of respect for him. But Jim, you will be missed. I know it's been 6 months now, maybe even longer, but still. It's a big hole there in the industry, and I wanted to throw that out there before we
I
got too far along. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Jim was one of a kind type of person. If you knew him, you will agree with those comments. But he was really loved by everybody that knew him, and it's a shame that he passed. And I pray for his family. But he was a classic sales guy in the plastics industry. He was a very successful guy, and he knew everybody and everything, and he knew how to get from point A to point B in the sales process, which is a huge advantage. And he's going to be missed. He was a good buddy of mine, and we talked all the time about everything but business. But when it came down to business, he was business. Yeah, he'll be missed for sure. I think about him all the time.
Some of the accounts that guy got into in such a small company like that, it still shocks me to this day. It just shows how good he was. Like he was able to get in places.
I think one point I want to make too is, this is about relationships, and
it really is.
No matter where you go, whatever company you go to, they'll try to sell you on, hey, we're the most technical, or we have the best product, or whatever it is. No, it's about relationships, and it's about service. And I found that out. My great uncle, his name was Tom Johnson. He owned the largest camping dealership in the 80s and 90s. He sold RVs, and he started with one RV, and then he sold it and bought two RVs and just built an enormous company, and was the largest RV dealer in the nation for a bunch of years running. And my dad worked for him when I was growing up. So I was able to see Tom, the owner of this big company, interact with his customers. And my dad really nailed it into my brain of, hey, this company is built on doing what's right for the customer. Not necessarily always what's right for the company, but what's right for the customer. That's what's going to get the customers to come back. That's what's going to get you trust with the customer. So it was burned into my brain from a young age of how to treat people. And I could actually see Tom treating people the right way at these jamborees and different events, or whatever things that he was doing, or me just visiting my dad in the office and hanging out with him. I could see the day-to-day interaction that the owner of this big company was having with his customers. And it was very impactful for me. And as I came through the industry, as I came through the plastics industry, I saw a lot of that very similar qualities with some of these sales guys. Now, I didn't necessarily resonate all the way up to the CEOs, but sales guys always had a great relationship with their customers. These people weren't always the most technical. They weren't the smartest guys in the room. They weren't, the best dressed, the funniest, whatever, but they had the best relationship, and they knew the most about their customer base. And they knew from the receptionist all the way up to the CEO. And I think that's
like a family thing. Some of the best sales guys I ever knew looked at their customers as an extension of their family. And if anything went wrong with anything that they were doing, so if they were selling widgets or plastics or whatever, something went wrong in the delivery, it was a personal issue for them.
Yeah.
And they fought even internally with people. So they were not always the easiest people to work with.
I know.
But they cared more about their customers than anybody.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I was in my former company. Is I would fight tooth and nail for my customer. So much so, even if it was a detriment to my own self, is fight for them and try to do what's right for them. And I think that's what it's all about. That's about servicing the customer the right way. Treat people how you want to be treated. How would you want to be treated if you were, a purchasing guy or whatever it is, That's how I try to treat people. That's how we as a company try to treat people. And our customers, we try to do what's right for them. And that's what I like about being a part of Spartan, is that message is pushed throughout and it's really taken seriously.
You only get one reputation, right? And the industry is small. People move around. Everybody knows everybody. You screw somebody over one time, you're done in this industry. And that word travels fast. So I think there's a lot to be said about maybe that first culture wasn't a great fit because they weren't going to look at it from the family perspective, but you found your home now, right?
Yeah.
And you found a ton of success doing what you're doing because you found that organization that was aligned with the way you wanted to do things. So
exactly.
One main reason why I'm not in procurement anymore. And I'm not going to say the company that kind of soured me on it. I know people probably pick up on it as I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
But there's this push in modern procurement to remove the relationships from the negotiations because they view that as a detriment. Like you won't get the best deal if you don't have another group, like a sourcing group that's doing negotiating and taking those relationships out.
Right.
When I try to argue that specifically in plastics, everything is relationships. And if I have a solid relationship with you and with Spartan, the likelihood is I'm going to get a better deal from Spartan than I would have if we put you through an RFP and you went through all the process. And there was so much of that bureaucracy that pushed me out of that. Now I'm doing something that I love to do, which is the sales side of things and the advocacy, like the two things that I love the most. And I'm able to put those into one job. And I get freedom to do my own little podcast thing, whatever I want to, which is been ideal for me, right? And I think there's something to be said that if you don't like one company in the plastics industry, there's a lot of them out there, and you can find a home.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And there's no lack of opportunity out there. I think last year was a pretty slow year for hiring, but I think it's going to pick up as demand picks back up over the next couple of years. The sky's the limit. I think most of these large producers have been producing products with handcuffs on, and I think those handcuffs are about to come off. And I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for a lot of young people out there to take advantage and to come in and make a difference, come in and do something different.
Colleges that are shutting down polymer programs right now because there's not enough demand from students to learn about plastics. I think the other thing that I've been standing on is the need to change how we communicate about our products and how we start talking about the benefits and start fighting back. Like you saw with Exxon recently, they got tired of getting trashed, so they finally decided to sue back, which is flawed.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people don't like it, but I think it needs to happen. We need to, but we need to have open and honest conversations about stuff too.
Exactly.
There's one topic I haven't talked about on this podcast, microplastics, just as an example.
Yep.
I don't know anything about the science of it. I think there's a lot of, depending on who you talk to, you're going to get a completely different explanation of what's going on. The moral of the story is right now the FDA says they're safe and it's not a problem. And that's as much as I know. And I think that's as much as a lot of people know. But that kind of messaging is getting out there to young people saying these microplastics are killing everybody. It's causing infertility, cancer. I don't understand how people can make those claims publicly, NGO, public, private company, whatever, and not get challenged in some way, shape, or form. Because to my knowledge, there's absolutely no science that conclusively links those two things. But people are making those links conclusive.
Right. Yeah. I think historically there's always going to be those bad eggs that come up, right? And somebody's going to try to sue somebody to try to get money. That's always happened. I mean, if you think back to when I first started, if you remember BPA and polycarbonate, I mean, it's super prevalent. I mean, BPA was everywhere. Now it's BPA free this, BPA free that.
That BPA was never in.
Right.
Everybody said BPA free.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's always been.
There's no BPA in polypropylene, but it's BPA free, so buy it. It became a marketing sales point, really, at the end of the day. I think there's just always going to be those bad eggs that pop up. And it's nice that now we have these open conversations, that we have an outlet that we can talk about them. And really with your podcast, man, there's never been anything out there like this to have open dialogue on a large forum space like LinkedIn or, anywhere where you can get a podcast to talk about these issues. So I was excited to see that you proposed this idea and really pushed it to fruition and are doing it so that we can start having these conversations on an open forum and really get very smart people to come on here and talk about it. These are the professionals. These are the people that are doing the investigations and the testing, and they are the ones that know. The newspapers.
Sure as hell not me.
Right. Me either. So, it's nice to have people that actually know come on here and answer questions and take questions and give some answers on it, because, it hasn't happened in the past. And now that information is just right at your fingertips, you can be misinformed on these things so quickly. It's nice to have a space to come to and figure out what's true and what's not true. But yeah, I think the plastics industry as a whole, I think there's always going to be that kind of slide of, it's microplastics and plastics are bad, yada, yada, yada. But there's a lot of bad things out there. And I don't think plastics should be at, people's top of mind, really a bad thing.
I hate quoting The Onion, but I'm going to do it anyway. I typically don't think they're funny anymore. They haven't been funny in a long time. For some reason, somebody shared one of their posts, microplastics, like the 151st most important thing for you to be worried about today. And like everybody seems to be so concerned.
Right. It's like,
let's worry about some other stuff first. I'm not saying there's any conclusive links that ever come up. Not to say that I won't change my tune on some of this stuff at some point, but right now I haven't seen anything that conclusively links microplastics with anything.
But I think there's a big problem, and I don't know if you listen to it. I listen to Joe Rogan.
I try not to.
Probably
as much
too
as
often.
I probably should, and maybe I'll learn a couple of things.
He's not a fan of microplastics, so
he's not a fan of a lot of things.
Yeah, so do this for a year or two more, and then go see if we can get on a show as a pro and talk about these things, or propose somebody else to go on there to talk about it, because it's another large platform talking accurately about what's actually happening. Are they good for you? Probably not. But are they as prevalent as people say? Probably not. So I think
it's credit card away thing. No, that's ridiculous.
Right? Yeah, credit card of plastic.
You would see that. It's insane to think that on top of that, all of these things, all of the this argument that there are thousands of chemicals in plastics, FDA approved materials. There's not thousands of anything in there. We're talking minimal amounts of additives in these things because they're all FDA controlled. Every single part of that formulation is controlled by the FDA. So there's no way we're just trying to dump stuff into these pellets. It's insane. Now, you want to talk about shitting in clothes, since it's one thing that I've seen. There's a lot of supposed microplastics that come out of that from every wash load. I don't know about that. Once again, I don't know about a lot of things, and I try not to talk about the things I don't know about. That's my main goal.
I think the FDA should focus on food first.
Yeah. We got enough problems there.
Yeah, exactly. So focus on food, because I don't think it's very good either. And then maybe we can tackle plastics later. I don't know. Somebody's going to get pissed off at that state.
But how long ago did we start talking about this podcast? We've probably been talking about 3 years, probably 4 years now. Somebody needs to do this, and then I finally said, to hell with it, I'm going to do it.
I know. It's most recently we were the MPE, and I was like, I think we should do something. Speaking of Spartan, about just giving an outlet for market intelligence, because all these different companies are combining, giving different information. There used to be one or two outlets out there that would say, hey, here's the price of polypropylene, this is what it's trading at. But now there's like 10, and all of them are different numbers.
And they're way divorced from the reality of the market, because it's a marker. It's not necessarily to tell you exactly what somebody's paying. And I will die on that hill. CMA wants to come after me and say, no, that's actually what people are paying. Like, you got another thing coming. Just think actually these things.
Right. So, that was my idea from that. And then I saw your first podcast. I was like, he beat us to it. Good for him.
No, he gets
like every episode.
We need more people to do this. We
I know.
I'm not talking markets. I'm not talking any of that stuff because to me, my whole goal is to talk about the narrative that we're fighting against right now and actually talking to consumers and talking about their concerns and making sure that I get the right kind of people to talk to those concerns.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I want to do is talk about the circular economy because those are the two things that I'm most passionate about. Because I really want plastics circulating. That's my goal. And so I'm not going to talk markets. I could. I don't want to.
Yeah, I know.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead. I'll support it. I'll jump on there and talk about stuff.
Yeah.
As long as not the markets I'm close to. I can talk about it.
I think you have a great thing going here. We as a plastics company, we go up against it too, right? I mean, we have providers that help, website developers, whatever it is, who don't necessarily support the plastics industry. And then they're dumbfounded to figure out that we actually do consume a lot of recycled goods and we reuse and recycle a lot often. And we use downgraded wide spec product that could be landfilled. So, there's a lot of education that needs to happen out there before people start to directly point the finger. And that's why I'm glad that you're doing this type of stuff. So people can learn more about it and, have more of an open dialogue about it rather than, you're the reason I'm eating a credit card a week of plastic.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's like the people that are just all up in my mentions and my comments or anything and say, how can you do this? Like you're spreading misinformation. And my response back to that is I'm actually trying to set the record straight. It's because there's so much misinformation out there.
Right.
Something else I saw recently, which had nothing to do with plastics, but it was a commercial for Neil deGrasse Tyson's. I think he's doing a podcast or something. It was on YouTube. He said that there's an intersection somewhere where you feel like you know a lot about a subject to be an expert, but then you don't know enough about that subject to know that you don't really know anything at all. It goes along with it's either a Bonhoeffer quote or some philosopher who said that don't speak about things that you don't know about. I really try to live by those two things is know that I know quite a bit about plastics, but I don't know everything. And I'm learning every single day. And I may be wrong about every single thing that I talk. But that's why I'm doing this. I want to talk to people. I want to learn more. I want people to be able to come along with us and learn more as we go through this, because I'd like to get to the bottom of the microplastics thing. I don't know if we're going to do that anytime soon because there's not any studies out there that I've seen that conclusively prove one way or the other. But if there is, we're going to engage with that at some point. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to have hard conversations that people don't want to have. And I'm fine with it. And if I get plastics people pissed off at me, so be it. If I got people on the other side that are pissed off at me, so be it. I'm just going to talk truthfully about this stuff and hopefully it'll lead to something positive.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, I think as long as you keep having good people on here and having those conversations, you're going to fall into something and it's going to be good.
I want to step in something this morning.
Yeah.
What you thinking? I want to say something that somebody's going to get really pissed off at.
Yeah.
But hey, if you do that podcast too, if you want to talk markets, I love doing podcasts. I do my own, right? And then at least twice a month, I do somebody else's. I'm doing somebody else's on Wednesday afternoon because I want to support other plastics podcasts out there. So I'm going to be on, and I'm going to give him a free plug right now. But that plastics guy, Kurt Staley, he's got a podcast that he does, and he's on anywhere you can get your podcast today. And then he's also on YouTube. He's going to be on this show too, because we want to support each other. We want to make sure that everybody knows everybody else in this little industry. We can expand our reach with everybody. So if he does something, which I think he should, I am all there for it. I'm there to support it. I will do whatever. You just have to get yourself a mic and sit in a room where you don't have sunlight coming on your face. This is the joy of doing live podcast recordings. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I know.
And I think the best thing about this too is because we walked into this and we like, hey, you know what? We don't have an outline. We just want to talk. We just want to see where this thing takes us and see what's going on. I wanted to give you the opportunity too, because we've already been talking 43 minutes, which, it's funny how quickly these things go. But I wanted to give you an opportunity, if there's anything that you're burning on, podcasts that you're listening to, different books that you're reading, whatever. And the floor is yours.
I don't have anything that it's really burning my brain to talk about today, man. It's come buy plastic from me. Support the U.S. Support the U.S.-based independently owned companies, man. I think that's important. I made that point earlier, though. So
I'll give you the shout again. You guys make great products. You always make great products. You give great service. I think what's interesting is you keep up with the big players and the people that are resin producers that are in the same space as you. And you guys just give a different level of service. You are doing things with recycled content that I'm a big fan of. And so that's why I want to make sure that I give you a platform to talk about this stuff, because you guys do something better than most. And not only are we friends and we've worked together for that long, and I wanted just to chat and get to know like what's going on with you right now, but you do work for a good company, and I like to give free advertising to good companies. That's good by me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And, I think our customers feel that too. I hope they do. I hope they feel the additional level of service that they get, because we actually care. We're not just another company out there trying to make a buck off of them. We're actually doing this because we care and we want to make a difference within the industry. And I think that's always been Brian's goal, is to find different feed streams, to find different outlets for these feed streams from these different producers, and to provide something special to the customers that can't easily be displaced by another producer. And I think that's what it's all about, is challenging yourself, challenging the organization, testing others around you to create something that's never been created before. And I think we're doing that. We're doing that on an annual basis. Every year since I've been here, we've come out with a new innovative product. We're not putting something out every month. We're saying, hey, we want to focus on this market and this product, and this is what we want to push. And it might be one product for that year. And sometimes it takes a whole year to get that product spec'd. But during that time, you meet a lot of people, you make a lot of friends, some enemies, but the most part.
It's agile though, right? Like you can work with all of your different customers and find niche.
Yeah, find something
or niche or whatever.
I think what really makes us different is the customization of products, right? Because if you go to a big producer, nothing against those products, but they're made to inventory items. This is what you get, fit it in. And we've got 100 engineers to help you figure out how to fit it in, right? For us, we're making a custom product spec'd for your machine, in some cases, for your facility, exactly how you want it. It's a made to order item. It's made with care. It's made by U.S. employees. You're supporting a U.S. based company. You're supporting a small farm town community of people. 50 to 100 people are working at our plant at any given time. These are people that care about their jobs. They care about the products that they make. They care about the people that they work for and they work with and those around them. And we all have a similar goal in mind, and that's to provide a quality product to our customers and to provide a better than level of service than our customers might be used to. And that can be difficult at times because we're not coming with a big name on our back. We're not coming with the big badge on our quarters, whatever it might be, a polo shirt, whatever. So we really have to make a name for ourselves right from the get-go, right? And it's not easy to cold call. It's not easy to do these things. But as I said earlier in our conversation, you got to take a leap of faith in yourself. You got to believe in yourself, and you got to continue to learn. And my granddad, he was a principal and a teacher for 40 years. He's a principal at a local elementary school and a middle school here. And that's what he always ingrained on me, man, is always learn something new. Don't be afraid to learn something new. Don't be afraid to fail, and don't be afraid to challenge yourself. And that's always what I've done as a person. I went to military college, tried football and tried all these things and just continued to press myself until you fail. And I think that's what life is all about. Everybody's got different purpose in life, but for me, it's, hey, let's push this to the boundaries and see where this takes us. And so far it's worked out really well for me. And I think if you find anybody successful throughout the industry or not in this industry, I think the messaging is going to be the same. You got to work hard. You got to push yourself. You got to believe in yourself, and you got to test the boundaries a little bit. And being in such a good organization with good people, like-minded people, has allowed me to put faith in myself and really rely on those around me and my friendships and the people around me to support me and to continue to push me ahead. Like even my customers, like you said, like my customers are my friends. And I know that's cliche, but that's really how it is.
Fact.
Even if they don't buy from me, like you're still my friend. Like we're still going to talk and hang out and whatever. And honestly, I don't have many friends outside of work. And I know it sounds bad, but my friends
with you
are my colleagues that I work with, right? And outside of work, I've got my family and I've got 3 kids and a wife and a dog, and I've got enough to do. So I find my friendships in my professional work life to be very important to me. And I think my customers and friends feel that. I think if they needed something, they know I'd be right there to help them. And if they needed me to make them look good, just like you try to make me look good, I would do the same for you and they would do the same for me. And that's what it's all about.
Well, you don't need my help on that front. I will tell you guys also the one thing, just the procurement thing in the back of my head. When I hear custom products, that's expensive, and don't take that when you're talking Spartan. It's reasonable pricing on that stuff too. So a big custom product to expensive.
I know, and I think people, they don't really correlate the two, but being a small independently owned company, we don't have a lot of overhead. We don't have a lot of travel. We don't have a big T&L. We don't have a lot of expenses. So we're able to really be competitive. And I think that's a major milestone that we have to overcome whenever we're speccing a product is, hey, this is going to be expensive. Well, I don't think we should do this. And I'm like, well, hold on. We know we wouldn't be here unless we didn't know.
Exactly.
So it's an obstacle, but we're able to overcome it.
If anybody takes anything away from this conversation today, there's a ton of opportunities in plastics. There are a bunch of family businesses that are out there. You can find your niche, however you want to say that. And if you treat people the right way, you're going to be successful. And if we can boil that down into some sort of a slogan or a t-shirt from the plastics industry, I think we can make some headway. James, we are now at pretty much the hour mark. Really appreciate you being on. Appreciate the friendship and all the business we've done over the years. And I am serious. If you want to start a podcast, I'm there to support it every step of the way. So
I'll think about it.
Let me know.
All right. Thanks for having me.
This is the Redefining Plastics Podcast. My name is Justin Riney, guest James Hansil. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for watching the video. Please click on one of these other links, like and subscribe. Appreciate the support.